Right, so we will be sharing to you today our review for the financial management domain. This is under domain 2. We will be sharing the Republic Act 9184. It is entitled as the Act providing for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the government and for other purposes. So under this discussion, this is quite a long and comprehensive discussion. We will be covering Article 1 to Article 15 of this Republic Act. So how would we call the law? The law actually has a short title. This act shall be known as the Government Procurement Reform Act. So this is under Section 1 of this Republic Act. So as you can see, under Section 2, we can see here the declaration of the policy. It is declared policy of the state to promote the ideals of good governance in all its branches, departments, agencies, subdivisions, and instrumentalities, including government-owned or controlled corporations and local government units. So as you can see, the coverage as to who would be covered under this law is also detailed. So here in Section 3, we see the governing principles on government procurement. All procurement of the national government, its departments, bureaus, offices, and agencies, including state universities and colleges, government-owned or controlled corporations, government, financial institutions, and local government units shall in all cases be governed by these principles. So these are the principles that we need to follow when we do the government procurement. First is transparency. Transparency in the procurement process in the implementation of procurement contracts. So we should be clear and transparent to everyone. First, another second is competitiveness by extending equal opportunity to enable private contracting parties who are eligible and qualified to participate in the public bidding. When it's competitive, then we give equal opportunities for all the private entities to join the bidding. Then streamline procurement process that will uniformly apply to all government procurement. So it means a streamline means all the unnecessary parts, all the unnecessary steps are now eliminated and it's streamlined and it is uniform in terms of application to all government organizations or government department. So the procurement process shall be simple and made adaptable to advances in modern technology in order to ensure an effective and efficient method. So it is encouraged that we should be adaptable to the modern technology and we should try to be more efficient and effective when we do procurement. Systems of accountability where both of the public officials directly or indirectly involved in the procurement process as well as the implementation of procurement contracts and private parties that deal with government are when warranted by circumstances investigated and held liable for their actions relative thereto. So there is a system of accountability which we will see later on in the law which will make these public officials liable in case there are circumstances that will make them liable too. Right? So public monitoring of the procurement process and the implementation of the awarded contracts with the end of viewing guaranteeing that these contracts are awarded pursuant to the provisions of this act and its implementing rules and regulations and that all these contracts are performed strictly according to the specification. So there is a public monitoring system and a procurement process and the implementation of the award contracts at the end of view which we try to guarantee that these contracts are really in line with what is specified under this law. Right. So let's now proceed to Section 4. So what is the scope and application? So this act shall apply to the procurement of the infrastructure projects, goods, and consulting services, regardless of source of funds, whether local or foreign, by all branches and instrumentalities of government, its departments, offices, and agencies, including government-owned or controlled corporations and local government units, subject to the provisions of the Commonwealth Act number 138. So any treaty or the international or executive agreement affecting the subject matter of this act to which the Philippine government is a signatory shall be observed. So in short, this has a lot of application because as you can see, even regardless of the source of funds, whether local or foreign, all branches and instrumentalities of the government should use and implement what is written in this law. Right. So let's go to the definition of terms. So we should start with this so that we can understand what is being said in the law. So for the purposes of this act, the following terms or words and phrases shall mean or be understood as follows. When you hear the acronym ABC, it means approve a budget for the contract. Refers to the budget for the contract duly approved by the head of the procuring entity or the HOPE, as provided for in the General Appropriations Act or continuing appropriations in the case of national government agencies. The corporate budget for the contract approved by the governing boards pursuant to Executive Order Number 518, Series of 1979 in the case of government-owned or controlled corporations, government financial institutions and state universities and colleges, and the budget for the contract approved by the respective sanggunian in the case of local government units. So that's the ABC, or the approved budget for the contract. Let's now refer to the BAC, or the BAC. Refers to the Bids and Awards Committee established in accordance with the Article 5 of this Act. So that's the BAC. Then we have the bidding documents. Refers to the documents issued by the procuring entity as the basis for bids, furnishing all information necessary for the prospective bidder to prepare a bid for the goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services to be provided. So as you can see, all the details about the things that they can propose on are found in the bidding documents. Right. So as you can see here, we have bid for letter D. Bid refers to the signed offer or proposal submitted by a supplier, manufacturer, distributor, contractor, or consultant in response to the bidding document. So as they look at the bidding documents, these are the products and services and specifications that they need. So the supplier or the manufacturer can now present to them how much will it cost. So this is the bid. Then it's a form of proposal, trying to tell them what is or how much would they charge if they offer such product or service. Competitive bidding refers to a method of procurement which is open to participation by any interested party, which consists of the following processes: advertisement, pre-bid conference, eligibility screening of prospective bidders, receipt and opening of bids, evaluation of bids, post-qualification, and award of contract, the specific requirements and the mechanics of which shall be defined in the implementing rules and regulations to be promulgated under this Act. So under competitive bidding, these are methods of procurement that we do, right? So we ask for the participation of interested parties, and we actually do that for advertisement, pre-bid conference, etc. Right? So we also have consulting services. Refers to the services for infrastructure projects and other two types of activities of the government requiring adequate external technical and professional expertise that are beyond the capability and capacity of the government to undertake, such as, but not limited to, for example, advisory and review services, pre-investment or feasibility studies, design, construction, supervision, management and related services, and other technical services, or special studies. So that's consulting services. Then we have the GEPS, refers to Government Electronic Procurement System as provided in Section 8 of this Act. Right, so goods refer to all items, supplies, materials, and general support services, except consulting services and infrastructure projects which may be needed in the transaction of public business or in the pursuit of government undertaking, project, or activity, whether in the nature of equipment, furniture, stationary materials for construction, or personal property of any kind, including non-personal or contractual services such as repair and maintenance of equipment and furniture, as well as trucking, hauling, janitorial security, related or analogous services, as well as procurement of materials and supplies provided by the procuring entity for such services. So the GPPB refers to the Government Procurement Policy Board established in accordance with Article 20 of this Act. So if you look at the video description, I have attached here the complete manual from the Government Procurement Policy Board in terms of this Republic Act. So the head of the procuring entity refers to the head of the agency or his duly authorized official for national government agencies. The government board or its duly authorized official for government-owned or controlled corporations, and the local chief executive for local government units, provided that in department, office, or agency where the procurement is decentralized, the head of each decentralized unit shall be considered as the head of the procuring entity or the HOPE, subject to the limitations and authority delegated by the head of the department, agency, or office. Right? So another part of the definition of terms, so we have infrastructure projects, including construction, improvement, rehabilitation, demolition, repair, restoration, or maintenance of roads, bridges, railways, airports, seaports, communication facilities, civil works, components of information technology, projects, irrigation, flood control, drainage, water supply, sanitation, sewerage, solid waste management systems, shore protection, energy power, electrification facilities, national buildings, school buildings, hospital buildings, and other related construction projects of the government. So it's really exhaustive, no? Trying to tell all the possible infrastructure projects. We also have the IRR. So what does it mean? Refers to the implementing rules and regulations. That's why it's IRR, to be promulgated in accordance with Section 75 of this Act. Portal refers to the website that aggregates a wide variety of content for the purpose of attracting a large number of users. So we also have procurement, refers to the acquisition of goods, consulting services, and the contracting for infrastructure projects by the procuring entity. So procurement shall also include the list of goods and real estate. With respect to real property, its procurement shall be governed by the provisions of Republic Act 8974, entitled An Act to Facilitate the Acquisition of Right-of-Way, Site, or Location for National Government Infrastructure Projects and other purposes, and other applicable laws, rules, and regulations. So for this case, we will refer to Republic Act number 8974. Then we also have the procuring entity, refers to any branch, department, office, agency, or instrumentality of the government, including state universities, colleges, government-owned and controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and local government units procuring goods, consulting services, and infrastructure projects. Right? So standardization of procurement process and forms. So to systematize the procurement process and avoid confusion and ensure transparency, the procurement process, including the forms to be used, shall be standardized insofar as practicable. For this purpose, the GPPB shall pursue the development of generic procurement manuals and standard bidding forms, and the use of which, once issued, shall be mandatory upon all procuring entities. So that's why, as school leaders, we should try to check every now and then the website of the GPPB. So I'll be sharing in the video description their website and also the manuals that you can download, so that you will be able to really understand how the procurement process occurs. Right, so Section 7, Procurement Planning and Budgeting Linkage. So all procurement should be within the approved budget of the procuring entity and should be meticulously and judiciously planned by the procuring entity concerned, consistent with government fiscal discipline measures. Only those considered crucial to the efficient discharge of governmental functions shall be included in the annual procurement plan to be specified in the IRR, also known as the implementing rules and regulations. So no government procurement shall be undertaken unless it is accordance with the approved annual procurement plan of the procuring entity. So the annual procurement plan shall be approved by the head of the procuring entity and must be consistent with its duly approved yearly budget. The annual procurement plan shall be formulated and revised only in accordance with the guidelines set forth in the IRR. In the case of infrastructure projects, the plan shall include engineering design and acquisition of the right-of-way. Procurement by electronic means. To promote transparency and efficiency, information and communications technology shall be utilized in the conduct of procurement procedures. So here we can see the modernization aspect of this law. Accordingly, there shall be a single portal that shall serve as a primary source of information on all government procurement, and that's the GEPS. Right? So GEPS shall serve as the primary and definitive source of information on government procurement. Further, the GPBB is authorized to approve changes in the procurement process to adapt to the improvements of modern technology, provided that such modifications are consistent with the provisions of Section 3 of this Act. So, to take advantage of the significant built in efficiencies of the GEPS and the volume discount inherent in bulk purchasing, all procuring entities shall utilize the GEPS for the procurement of common supplies in accordance with the rules and procedures to be established by the GPB. With regard to the procurement of non-common use items, infrastructure projects, and consulting services, agencies may hire service providers to undertake their electronic procurement provided these service providers meet the minimum requirements set by the GPBB. So if you want to learn more and to listen to more inputs regarding financial management, you can subscribe to the channel and we will continue reading through all the Republic Acts. If you're tired with reading with your own eyes, we will be sharing it to you here in our channel. Thank you and keep learning.